automatically put it on the list for children. So at Health Freedom Idaho, we're going to be putting out a call to action about what to do about that in Idaho. Do you want that on the recommended list for schools? Do you want your kids being forced to get the jab before they go to school? Most people in Idaho don't even know they have an exemption, so they'll just do it. So it's going to be up to us, everybody here, you know, and you're responsible for what you know, to take action. It'll be detailed out on our call to action. Essentially what it's going to say is that you need to call all the legislators. You need to tell them that you do not want it on the rules, because they'll go into session in January and they'll just put it right in the rules, and the legislature just signs it all in and they go, okay, well now it's on the list. It's going to be up to you to stop it from being on that list. Now, Brad Little said, nobody wants to know what Brad Little says.
Don't worry, we're going to reset your clock.
Yeah, that's right. 15 minutes starts over.
I remembered to buy the batteries. I sent somebody after them. I just didn't put them in the microphone. Here you go.
All right, so Brad Little said in a tweet, oh, let me just say first, did you see what Ron DeSantis said? He said, as long as he's kicking and screaming, that will not be on the list in Florida. And here's what Brad Little says. Let me be clear. Now, I'm just saying, in my experience, that means he's about to tell you to put your mask on. Let me be clear. I will never mandate the COVID-19 vaccine for Idahoans of any age group, especially children. As long as I am governor, that decision will be determined solely by the parents, families, and individual citizens. Now, that sounds really good, right? I mean, that sounds really good unless you know, historically, that he just uses the departments and the agencies to enforce it instead. Because he's a coward. He uses the IACI businesses that are in partnership with the government, might as well be over here shaking, partnership with the government in order to require masks and vaccines. That's what he does because he's a coward. So then he makes a statement that he's not going to force it because he hides behind the agencies and the businesses that are in cahoots with the government through IACI to do it. So don't believe that line. And just know that anytime he starts a sentence with "let me be clear," you're about to get some garbage. So it really is going to be up to you. The call to action is going to be out. Go to healthfreedomidaho.com. Now the drop down will come on at healthfreedomidaho.com, and you'll get for free, when you give your email address there to get the calls to action, you will get a CPS guide on what to do if they show up at your door. So it's a win-win. All right, so Sarah, what has Health Freedom Idaho been up to anyway?
Well, we've been busy. So I was going to run through really quick some of the bills that we've worked on over the last few years and then talk about the ones that we have coming up in January. So in the 2017 and 2018 session, we had Senate Bills 1050 and 1227. That was about the vaccine exemption form. A lot of people don't know that in Idaho, we do still have all three exemptions for school attendance, which is huge because many, many states in this country have gotten rid of their philosophical and religious exemptions, and people are forced to jab their children to send them to school. And in Idaho, we have been fighting since very early 2016 to keep those intact and very strong. So that was our first two bills. Then we had, we don't just want the exemptions. We want our Department of Health and Welfare to have to tell parents that they have a right to exempt their children from these jabs. So we started working in 2019. We had House Bill 133 that said not only do the parents have a right to be exempt, but you schools and daycares in Idaho, you're going to tell the parents that they have a right to be exempt. So we started that in 2019. In 2021, after 3 sessions of working on that, that passed and was signed. So now, yes, that's huge, you guys. Almost no other state in the country has laws like this where the parents have to be, by law, the schools have to tell parents, not only do you not have to jab your children, not only do you not have to fill out the state exemption form that's very incriminating, but you have a right to write on a napkin if you want, my child is exempt. That's it. No explanation. We don't have to give them any explanation of any kind. We just get to say, no, it's my child government. The answer is no.
That's right.
So that was probably one of our biggest wins, was getting that law signed. Let's see. Oh, we also had in 2021 House Bill 140, and that was a big fight. That was the one that said companies and employers that contract with the state cannot discriminate based on your vaccine status. Even before this COVID nonsense started, we knew that it was coming down the pipeline that employers would use your vaccine status and your confidential medical information against you. And so we started working on legislation long ago to say, if you're a company, if you're a completely private business that has absolutely no licensure, no tax breaks, nothing to do with government, you can do what you want. But if you are a business that contracts with the state of Idaho in any way, you are going to respect people's privacy and their rights, and you're going to stay out of their vaccine status and their confidential medical information.
Why wasn't that passed, Sarah? Why wouldn't the chairman hear it?
So the chairman didn't want to hear that bill, and he actually told us in a private meeting, I will not even let this bill see the light of day because Blue Cross doesn't like it. So apparently our senators or representatives, some of them work for Blue Cross. Who knew? I thought they worked for the people. Boo. It was so gross. So gross. He admitted. I'm sorry, Blue Cross and IACI don't like that, so it's just not going to happen. What? I'm sorry, I thought you worked for the people.
No shame in his conscience.
No, did not care. So anyway, some of the really important things we have coming up this next session. We really need you at the Capitol. We need you on our email list so that you know what's happening at the Capitol and you can help us with emails and phone calls to the representatives and senators. We are going to push back on, there's a statute in Idaho Code that says child 14 years of age or older can consent to their own medical treatment for communicable disease. Guess what COVID is? A communicable disease, an infectious disease. So we have this statute that says without the consent or knowledge of the parents, a child can consent to being jabbed, any type of medical treatment, even surgery for a communicable or infectious disease. That has got to be repealed. We tried already. I think we've tried for 2 sessions to get that repealed. Can't even get a hearing in committee. They're like, they will not even touch it. So that has got to come out of Idaho Code.
And in case you're thinking that would never happen in Idaho, it's already happened in towns where they say, all the kids, the high school kids, come to the gym, you can get your COVID vaccine and you don't have to tell or ask your parents. That has already happened in Idaho. And yeah, giant boo. So this has to be passed, and they're not going to hear it unless we, the people, demand that they hear it and demand that they pass it. So it really is going to be up to you guys to get those calls to action and call your legislators and be like, listen, you have to hear this and you have to pass it, or else my kid is going to be at school getting a COVID jab without my permission.
And so on that same note, just like Misty was saying about Brad Little, he's a big coward, and he will not actually mandate or try to enforce anything. He'll let the health departments, the health districts do it, the school districts, the library boards, like you name it, all the county commissioners, city councils. He'll pass it off to them so that he looks like the hero, and he lets them do the dirty work. So another bill that we're working on is, there's an entire chapter of Idaho Code about the health districts and how they operate and their powers, and it says they can, listen to this, you guys will not believe this. It literally says in Idaho Code, they can do all things in the name of public health and safety. Unreal that we have that kind of language in our law. Totally unacceptable. So I am drafting a bill on that. We have got to rein in these health districts. They are totally out of control, and they are doing this totally evil work, and they are the ones who are doing the dirty work of the governor and everybody who's trying to impose impose these terrible things on us. So please, please, please come to the Capitol, or at the very least be on our email list so that you can send emails and phone calls and back us up, because we're going to be at the Capitol probably nearly every day like we usually are, but we need you guys because they don't care. If it's just us standing there screaming, they're like, we don't care. There's just 2 of you. But if we have thousands of emails and phone calls coming in and we are just coming down on them and they are like overwhelmed with the people saying, you will not do this to us, that's when they listen.
And I would just like to say that right now, you have the best opportunity to get in front of your candidates. This is actually when they care about what you have to say. So use your voice right now while they're running. Talk to them about what's important to you. Get them to commit to you that health freedom is important to them and that they will pass these important bills, right? Then you can hold them accountable when they win and you can say, well, you promised me. You told me this would be important to you. And that's how you hold your elected accountable. Okay, on a totally different note, switching gears, because I'm a walking billboard today, Health Freedom Idaho, we have these sweatshirts and hats over there, like Shane showed you. They're $35. And then I also just purchased the Idaho Dispatch. So we have these hats over there. We would love for you to be a subscriber. We also need advertisers. This is the only non-biased news in Idaho. Our goal is to give you a link that you can post and share unbiased news. When you see the garbage coming out of the lame streamlying media, you can go to the Idaho Dispatch, find the story, grab a link and share that and get some shred of truth out there to Idaho. So I hope you'll come over to the table, sign up to be a subscriber. It's $2.97 a month. We'd love to have you.